I'm Trey with the First Date Fix, and today I'm going to be talking to you about ghosting. Now, ghosting is and first of all, I want to apologize if I wince or move a certain way. I think I badly damaged my back in the gym today, and putting my neck up is starting to become a pain. I was driving today, I was looking over my shoulder like this, ow, because it slightly hurt. So if I kind of wince or if I move awkwardly, that's because my back is in pain. Ghosting is a very stigmatized product of the hookup culture / modern dating, online dating app culture, if you will. And it's something that I want to say has been around in the last 9 years. Maybe it's been around for decades before then, but it's only really been publicized and had a colloquial term attached to it. I want to say in the last 8 to 9 years, give or take. Ghosting isn't always bad. Now, the reason why I say this is because ghosting is very interesting. When someone's on the opposite side of the coin, they have no problem ghosting people, and they're always going to justify the reasons why they do so. And on the opposite side of the coin, those people who have been ghosted are mortified and they have their heart broken and they can't possibly believe that anyone would ghost them. And on the right in the middle of the coin, if that's even a thing, you have people where it's really just their ego that's been bruised and they weren't really that interested in the person in the first place. Okay, so those are the different levels of ghosting. The first level of ghosting, which I think is okay. Sometimes you go out with someone on a first date and it lasts for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. You kind of know some things about them, you don't know too much, but you have things to do and you have schedules that you both have to get to, and you don't really have time to be sat there for 2 to 3 hours plus really trying to figure out if this person is worth a second date. For the most part, they have been acceptable on the first date, and you want a second date to feel like if they are more than acceptable, if they are someone that you generally want to spend time with going forward. When the second date comes, that's more of a confirmation to everything you knew about the first date, saying, you know what, they're a lovely person, I'd like to get to know them more. But the second date is more like, okay, do I actually want to start dating this person? Plural, okay? So sometimes when the second date happens, you could realize, I really don't like that person. I feel like they're a bit off. I don't necessarily like their personality. I don't necessarily agree with their points of view. I don't necessarily feel like they're the person for me. I'm not 100% attracted to them. And there could be an abundance more reasons, right? But the fact of the matter is that by the second date, you have full confirmation that that person isn't for you. That's when I think it's okay to ghost. And I'll tell you why. When you ghost someone between the first and second dates, it's not that deep. Nothing's really happened. What have you really discussed? What have you really gone through together? What kind of barriers have you both broken to really justify that it would hurt either party to ghost? B, sometimes you just don't deserve an explanation. No one really deserves an explanation as to why you ghost someone in the first or second date. Because of that, it's just the first or second date. I've been ghosted an abundance of times with the first or second date. And you know what? It wasn't that deep to me because I couldn't care less what they liked or didn't like because I don't even know the person from Adam. And people are so meticulous and picky when it comes to dating these days that I couldn't care less if I did have a particular attribute or skill that turned them off, because there's always going to be someone that's going to think contrary to that, and they're going to be the person that's for you. So, if someone goes on dates or 2 dates with you and they don't give you an explanation, who cares? And you really don't need it. When people say after 1 or 2 dates, oh, they could have at least let me know, they could have at least given me a reason why they ghosted me, that comes down to be blunt, more ego. You feel like you're so awesome that you could never be ghosted and you want to know why. The fact of the matter is that not only do you not need to know why in the first or second date, but you couldn't handle why. You couldn't. Because the reality is that when people do tell you why they ghosted, they seldom tell the truth. They really don't. If most people told the truth when it comes to why they ghosted you, it would be like this. To be quite honest, you don't look like your pictures, and I felt like I could get past it with you having a great personality, but I can't, and I'm not fully attracted to you. To be quite honest, you're kind of full of yourself, and I wanted to see if it was just the first date and you were overcompensating, but this is who you are, and I'm not remotely attracted to you. to be quite honest, I can't stand your personality, and I thought it was just a one-off because I had a bad day. To be quite honest, I just think you're kind of a bum. Do you know what I mean? Like, I could continue. These things are brutal, and no one should really have to hear it just after a first or second date because you didn't necessarily feel attracted to them. It really isn't that deep, and you don't really have to go into an explanation because nothing's happened. It is, ow, oof, that hurt. Nothing happened. It's 1 to 2 dates. Okay, number 2. The second level of ghosting is when you two have been hooking up, you have been sleeping together, plural, on multiple occasions. Maybe you know his or her last name, maybe you know something about their family members or their siblings, and they've really, really opened up to you. This is when the shitty level of ghosting comes into play. This is when, okay, if a person ghosts under those pretenses, maybe they're a bit of an asshole. Maybe they could have gone through great lengths and kind of given someone a phone call or a text and explained, as to why they thought it appropriate to ghost. That's kind of in different territories where what most people talk about, this is where, a lot of men and women get offended, where you do ghost after seeing someone for a significant amount of weeks. And, there have been feelings developed from both, or maybe even one party, unfortunately, because you both didn't really communicate what both parties were really looking for. That's why I always say to people, I know you want to be low key, cool. I know you want to not lead with your heart. I know you don't want to catch feelings, but that leaves you more susceptible to getting your heart broken because you never were really clear about what you wanted in the first place. And then there is level 3 level of ghosting, which is really, that is the arseholery of arsehole. That is the uber mega douchebag ghosting, where you have been with someone for 3+ months and one of you, or maybe both of you, feels like a relationship has been established, or maybe it hasn't been communicated, but essentially you could be hooking up with each other in a space of 3 months. You could be dating each other in a space of 3 months. You could be in a quasi pseudo relationship, situationship, whatever it may be. But the fact of the matter is that when you ghost someone after 3 months, that does make you kind of a terrible person. And unfortunately, I know a lot of people don't believe this, but karma does happen. It does come your way. I've been in situations where, I've ghosted someone after the first, maybe even the second date, and it's happened to me. But I really haven't cared that much because I'm like, well, I've done it to people and I get it if they do it to me. I'm not all that. I talk a lot. I'm over opinionated. Like, I couldn't care less. And that's never going to change. This is who I am, right? But when you start coming into fruition where you ghost someone after 3 months plus, not only should that person who's been ghosted consider themselves dodging a bullet, but also there is something a bit psychologically unwired about that person who thinks that they could go through a quarter of a year with someone and ghost. And unfortunately it happens. So, what you might be asking is, how can I avoid ghosting, Trey? You just can't. You can't. You can never really avoid ghosting. If anything, you have to prepare for it. But what you shouldn't allow ghosting to do is to stop you from being who you are and fully putting yourself out there. To be vulnerable, to be open and honest is, the true sense of power that you want and you deserve. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. It's okay to ghost in the first or second dates. In my opinion, anything before then is garbage. If you disagree, comment below, call me out. People have done it before, and I'm not afraid of a good discussion and debate. Enjoy the rest of your day, and cheerio.